6:02, and I'm going to call the March meeting of the Ann Arbor Independent Community Police Oversight Commission to order. I'm going to ask Ms. Cummins to please call the roll.
Okay. Chair Carter.
Here.
Vice Chair Othman.
Here.
Commissioner Green. Here. Commissioner Haynes.
Here.
Commissioner Liu.
Here.
Commissioner Manley.
Here.
Commissioner Milgram is absent. Commissioner Cooper is absent. And Commissioner Pipkins is absent. Councilperson Harrison. Councilperson Iyer. We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. I'm going to ask everyone to please take a look at the agenda and at the same time, look at the minutes from our last meeting. And then I'm going to ask for motions to approve both of those.
I make a motion to approve the agenda for this meeting.
Thank you.
I second.
Thank you. Any comments, questions, additions to the agenda? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of last month's meeting?
I move to approve the minutes from last month's meeting.
Thank you.
I second.
Thank you, Commissioner Green. Any corrections or anything else anyone like, additions to last month's minutes? All in favor of approval?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, the minutes are approved. Now, we have a special presentation, and I know we have some guests, and I know there are people watching us online. And we are so glad to welcome Professor Nicholas Camp. Professor Camp is an associate professor of organizational studies at University of Michigan with a courtesy appointment in psychology. He has a BA in psychology from Columbia and a PhD from Stanford. His research examines the social psychology of racial inequity, how institutions and individuals maintain these disparities, how they shape the world around us, and how we can intervene to address these disparities. I was very impressed reading some of his work, and I'm very happy to have him with us this evening. I'm going to welcome Professor Camp to come up. Thank you.
Thank you for having me here today, and thanks to the Commission for inviting me.
I'm sorry, let me interrupt you for just a minute. Those who are here, we do have cards. If you have a question for Professor Camp at the end of his presentation, please fill that out and we'll collect them. Thank you.
Great. And thank you, Kennedy, for manning the slides. So I'm excited to have the chance to share about some of the research that my colleagues and I have done using body camera footage as a way of observing parts of policing that are hard to see from other means. Slide, please. So as the Chair mentioned, I'm a psychologist. I'm not the kind that does therapy, and I don't need to hear about your relationships, but I do study police community relationships. And one of the things that's so striking about these interactions is that they're both very personal and very institutional at the same time. So a police department can't be respectful or rude, but individual officers certainly can. And what we know from a growing body of research is that people's interpersonal experiences of respect or disrespect matter for how they view institutions. Slide, please. But a lot of the data that we have on policing doesn't really capture these aspects that we know are important but hard to see in administrative records, for example. So what my colleagues and I have done is use body camera footage as a way of looking at these common but consequential interactions. So we're probably familiar with body cameras as either a tool for accountability or as a way to adjudicate particular claims or use of force incidents, but really this gives us a window onto the thousands and thousands of conversations officers have with community members each day. And the research my colleagues and I do looks at how we can use this footage to understand policing. Slide. And so today I'm going to share just 3 ways in which we can think about this footage, not just as evidence, but as data. So we can use it to understand and observe how officers interact with the public. We can use it to understand the effects of officer communication for community trust, and also as a tool to measure change in policing and improve police-community interactions. Slide. So one of the most powerful tools that officers have at their disposal is their words, and you can advance it. And officers can say things that carry very similar policy or institutional perspectives, but in a way that communicates respect towards the person that they're interacting with or lack thereof. Slide, please. And so in one of the first studies using body camera footage as data, my colleagues and I looked at traffic stops in Oakland, California. And we looked at a month of traffic stops of white and black drivers in the city. And we asked people to just look at thin slices of officers' language and just share their impressions of how respectful, friendly, polite, and formal the officer was being. Slide, please. So one challenge that we faced was we can only ask people about small snippets of interactions, but we're interested in whether we could scale these judgments to look at trends in a month, or you could even extrapolate further, a large amount of footage. So we were only able to ask people about 400 of these little snippets, but our question was, could we use these small number of snippets to learn things in an entire month of traffic stops. Slide, please. And so just to walk through how we accomplished this, we first identified features of language in these transcripts. So you can press advance it. So you can think about when you're asking someone for a favor, some of the things you do to kind of minimize the imposition or ways in which you communicate respect. Things like minimizing requests using just, or using formal and informal titles. You can advance. And for each of these features of language, we saw how much it mattered for people's perceptions of respect in that small number of clips. Mm-hmm. And so what we could do is we could use those weights, we could use those ratings, and estimate officer respect throughout the entire month of traffic stops. So this is about 36,000 statements from police officers. So what did we learn? You can advance. So we noticed that when officers were communicating with white drivers, they were more likely to express concern for safety. So saying things like, I'm glad you're safe, I just want you and your baby to be safe. More likely to reassure white drivers, saying like, don't worry about it, or it's all good. And rather than walk through every single feature of language, what we can do is just chart how respectful or disrespectful a feature of speech is here on the y-axis, with how likely it is to occur when officers are talking to white versus black drivers. And basically you can draw a line through this chart, which basically tells us the more respectful a feature of language was, the more likely it would occur when Oakland Police Department officers were talking to white drivers. We can also use this footage to look at how interactions might impact people differently across race, or conversely, how different people might perceive the same interaction. So this gives us a tool for looking at how people think about policing outside of their own personal experiences. So rather than bore you with the details of 4 or 5 different studies, some of the different things my colleagues and I have done is give people 30-second snippets of police interactions, so have them listen to the exchange between police officers and drivers. We've looked at just officers' tone of voice, so muting the content of officers' language so they sound like the grown-ups in Charlie Brown, and just looking at what an officer's tone is communicating, and also just looking at the very first moments of interactions. And some of the things that this lets us do is see how different people interpret the same interactions and see how much there's consensus across identity or political orientation, for example. And just to give a high-level summary of what we find that, you can go forward one. we find that there's consensus on what constitutes respectful or disrespectful communication on the part of officers. But at the same time, people's own experiences with law enforcement and whether they feel like they've been treated respectfully or disrespectfully shapes how they interpret officer language or officer tone of voice. Another thing we find is there's both common effects where both white and black community members, when we bring them into the lab and have them listen to these interactions, more respectful police officers are communicating, the more trust our participants report having in the police department. But we also see that there's a differential impact where that correlation, that connection is stronger for community members of color. So the work that I'm most excited about comes out of a conversation we had with the Oakland Police Department after we presented our work on racial disparities. And the question they had for us was, great, you used this footage as data, you've brought these issues to our attention, what can you do about it? And so what we did in Oakland is we not only designed department-wide training, procedural justice, and communication in traffic stops using some of the insights from our research, but we could also use body cameras as a way to measure whether police officers are actually using the techniques they learned in that training. So what we did was we looked at traffic stops that occurred within a 4-week period, either before or after an officer was conducting a traffic stop, and we just used the same linguistic tools that we used to measure disparities to see whether officers communicated these things to drivers in their stops. Okay. So just to refresh your memory, so some of the things that we found were both respectful and also more likely to occur when officers were talking to white drivers were things like offering reassurance or expressing concern for the driver's safety. And we found that following training, officers were more likely to do both of these things. All right. And because we can look at these transcripts many different ways, we can actually break down not just the elements of this training that translated to officer behavior or officers' communication in traffic stops, but also the things that didn't work. So, two things that we learned over the course of this is that, in retrospect, it makes sense that officers greet the driver in 80% of traffic stops, so not a lot of movement there. And one of the things that came out as we're discussing the results with the Oakland Police Department is this question about whether formal titles like sir or ma'am were things that connoted respect or disrespect. And so that was a really fruitful conversation. Okay. So just to summarize, there are lots of aspects of policing that we all acknowledge are important, but also acknowledge that it's really hard to measure with the tools that we have. And so body camera footage gives us a way to not just observe patterns in police interactions, but also to capture change. And I'll also add that because this is recordings that officers are capturing as a matter of policy, it's a way of measuring change that is minimally intrusive and can also scale across time and to any number of interactions. And so it can be a useful tool for training, operations, as well as accountability. So with that, thank you for having me, and happy to answer any questions people might have. Oh, sorry. And if you can go back one slide, just to zoom out further, police community interactions are important because they're this point of contact between individuals and institutions, and body camera footage can be this really helpful tool for both understanding dynamics in those interactions and also how they might change. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to start off with a question. You all went through the body camera footage yourselves. Was it a computer that helped you, or what was the mechanism by which you were able to get all this data together?
Yeah, so when we originally conducted these studies, the first one was about a decade ago. There was a 3-step process where first we would match the footage to traffic stop records, then we would have that footage transcribed, and then we would analyze that language to see what features of language people are using to judge respect or disrespect. So the good news is that the technology has advanced quite a bit. So now many vendors such as Axon or Trulio incorporate this transcription into their body camera management. And so a lot of the things that we had to do manually in this research can now be done relatively painlessly.
Okay. Yeah, Commissioner Green?
Can you turn your mic on?
Does your data support the inference that the use of body camera improves police-community relations?
Do you mean the adoption, just the adoption of body cameras, or?
Does your data support that inference, that it improves community police relations, that it improves it?
So,
The use of it.
we didn't just test whether the presence of cameras change those interactions. I think it can be a helpful tool for uncovering what happens in those conversations. The research that's been done on the presence of body cameras tells us that it can be just, the introduction of that technology can be beneficial, but it depends a lot on implementation. So, for example, how much discretion do officers have in deciding when and how to activate those cameras? And what are the procedures for viewing the footage? So I would say the research that we did mostly looked at whether you can use this footage to measure change and not necessarily whether the cameras themselves change policing.
Go ahead.
This kind of interaction, was it across the board among all the police officers in Oakland? Because this is where your study came out of. Or was it related to a particular, white officers versus non-white officers? That they had the same pattern of interacting with white versus black individuals who were interacting with them?
Yeah, so I'll say two things. First, we didn't notice any differences in the respectfulness of officer language by officer race or gender identity. I'll also say that I'm always very cautious in drawing conclusions about particular officers from these types of analyses, just because we typically see a few number of traffic stops per police officer. So it's kind of like evaluating teachers from just a small number of students. So I'm very confident in the trends that we see across the whole department, but when we start looking at individual officers, we have to be a little more conservative in our conclusions. Yep.
I'm wondering, you said the existing trust affects the perception. So if you have a segment of society that has less trust in general in the police department, it sounds like you'd expect that they would be more offended, maybe, by the language that's used? Is that right?
Yeah, and so the way I think about that kind of second chunk of studies I shared is that you can see kind of this cycle where when people are exposed to police disrespect, it shapes how they view those organizations and institutions, and in turn, those attitudes shape how they interpret officer communication in the future. Mm-hmm. And so it shows this kind of, you can imagine this feedback cycle where being exposed to disrespectful interactions changes how you see that institution, and those attitudes then shape how you experience subsequent interactions. Mm-hmm. I'll also note that when we're looking at people's attitudes, one of the things we wondered is whether, people who were just more likely to get like a warning on a traffic ticket or receive more favorable outcomes, whether they would be more feel more positively about officers' communication. What we find is it doesn't really seem to matter what the outcome of folks' interactions with the police are when they're doing these ratings. It really seems to matter is how fairly people feel like they've been treated. So, it kind of shows how it's, this trust can be built or eroded, and in turn that trust goes on to shape people's future interactions with law enforcement.
Anyone else? Commissioner Green?
There was a time in Detroit when an officer referred to me as slick. Do officers ever give any justification for the use of so-called street language in their interactions with the community?
Yeah, so this has been, this was a topic of discussion in the Oakland Police Department where we shared results. And there's two kinds of dynamics that came out. The first was that officers said this was, using dude or bro or informal titles was a way of trying to connect with drivers. From our ratings, I don't think that was the case. But it was also the case that, whether those titles are appropriate or not often depends on, the relationship between the officer and the community member. So, I think that's one area where we really want to dig a little bit deeper, because what might be happening is that when officers are using those informal titles, they're kind of presuming a closeness that the driver feels like isn't really warranted. But I will say that when we talked to the OPD, that was the recommendation that they pushed back the hardest on. So the question was, why did they push back on it? And I think for many officers, it came out of a place where they said, I want to connect with this person, and if I'm saying sir or ma'am, it might actually make me seem more distant and less approachable. I think it's an open question as to whether the language actually really accomplishes that. From our data, it doesn't really seem to. But one of the limitations we have with these studies I talked about is what really matters is what that person who was stopped thought, felt, and interpreted, and that's something that we don't really have access to in our data. But like I said, I think that particular feature just sparked the most discussion about, respectful, disrespectful, whose perspective is guiding that.
Given that, was it, I don't know how to phrase this question, but I want to know whether or not for black officers that were approaching black drivers, did they use that language in their interaction? And did the white officers also use that same language with black persons?
Yeah, so this was, the second point I was going to make, which was, hopefully no one from Oakland, California is watching this. No, basically, when the OPD saw some of the results, they were like, okay, we're going to, see if officers are using these terms in their interactions, and then, use that to inform our supervision of those officers. And what happened was that black officers would often use those informal titles when they're talking to black community members. And so that's where I want to be cautious, because both white and black officers see it as a way of forming rapport, and whether it's actually accomplishing that goal, I think, it's hard to say from the outside looking in. But it is this kind of, it's a conversational dynamic that, it could really matter who's using that language as to whether it's serving the desired purpose of, bridging that social distance, or serving another purpose, which is kind of talking down to the person the officer is communicating with.
The study was done about 10 years ago, correct? Do you think today, if you go back to OPD, you would see a little bit of a difference, improvement in the relationship, or there is more trust, language is being respectful?
Yeah. So in the training evaluation I showed you, that's data from 2018. So it's still pretty. It's basically halfway between now and when our first study was. We still observe racial disparities in officer respect. So the training was successful in the sense that officers are more likely to use those features of language that connote respect. but it was basically kind of like they were more likely to use them with both white and black drivers. So those gaps are still there. As for the gaps in police community trust, these interactions are important, but they're kind of one piece of a much larger puzzle. I will say that just looking at like public opinion surveys, the gap between white and black Americans' trust in law enforcement narrowed during 2020 and George Floyd, but before and after, like since 2020, is kind of plateaued at about like a 30-point gap. So these are pretty persistent gaps in perceptions of law enforcement.
One of the, two of the policies that have been implemented by Chief Anderson, that's all on your list. One was the officers will introduce themselves first. And secondly, give the reason for the stop. We had a whole lot of people who would say, they don't even tell me why they stopped me. So it seems like we're doing what we can in those areas. Now, I'm just wondering, do you suggest training in polite speech? Or I don't know if we do it or not, but.
Yeah, so, 2 points. The first, just like giving that reason for the encounter. Not just my own research, but other folks have shown that that's probably like the single most important thing in these police community interactions. Not just in the traffic stop context where it's like, what's the justification for the stop, but also in just kind of community policing. So there was an excellent experiment that was done just in the context of police officers trying to get to know people in their communities. And what happens is without that context of why the officer's talking to the person, like even though the officer's making an honest attempt at forming that connection, that kind of ambiguity in the other party's head, like means it doesn't go well. So this intervention just found that just a brief statement saying like, hey, I'm going around like talking to people, trying to get to know folks in my community, like that makes a huge difference in the psychological experience of that interaction, right? As for, what are the implications for training and what to train, I'm kind of two minds. Our research shows that these parts of language matter for how people perceive these interactions, but at the same time, I think they're especially useful as like a signal for what's happening and what are those interactions like, rather than the maybe not as much like the specific thing that needs to be changed. In other words, it might be a marker of a trust-building interaction for an officer to use this respectful language, but you can imagine if you like mandated that language, it might become rote in the same way that many other types of interactions are. So, I think that there's different ways of viewing it, but I feel it's a really important marker for parts of these interactions that matter, but you couldn't see from like traffic stop data, for example.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. You.
Also, I'm assuming that Oakland, California is a majority black city. Have there been any similar studies of a small majority white city like Ann Arbor?
There are
similar studies available.
So all the studies. So there's many. Think about some of the obstacles to doing this kind of work. So far, the only cities where I've seen this kind of analysis done are Oakland, New York City, and Los Angeles. And so I don't know of any work that's been done in a city the size or composition of Ann Arbor. Yeah.
Is there any, did you notice when you were doing the study, was there any policy in OPD about how police officers should interact with the community, or when they have a stop, or they are interacting with, or there was no policy? So
OPD was, as part of their consent decree process, they were an early adopter of body cameras, and they're also early developer of policies. So they did have very strict policies about when officers were supposed to activate these cameras. But as far as like the actual interactions, beyond, they're beyond just, the routine of, checking license and registration, running driver's license to see if there's an outstanding warrant, and then, giving the driver the ticket. There wasn't really much guidance on the interpersonal side of these exchanges. So I'd say some policies on what to be done during a traffic stop, not so much of a focus on how to interact or how to relate during it.
I also understand, perhaps from your reading your research, that a traffic stop that starts off with a perception of disrespect or is often that stop that leads to a bad stop. Is that?
Yeah, so one of the things my colleagues and I have done is look at traffic stops that ended in an arrest, handcuffing, or use of force, and just look at whether we could predict that outcome from the first words spoken by an officer. It turns out we can do above chance with like the first 35 words that an officer says. So what this tells us is that a lot of times you think of escalation as being kind of like a meandering path, but in the stops that we looked at, it often started off pretty intense. And it wasn't just the case that the words were things like, you have a warrant out for your arrest. We did statistical controls and accounted for that. So it also tells us that some of the dynamics going on in these interactions, they can start heated and escalate from there. Compared to the way that we typically think of escalation, which is starts innocuous and then escalates to use of force or handcuffing.
Okay.
No, I was just going to say that this is a great discussion. I'm glad we're having it because when I first looked at the slides, I had a negative feeling. I'm like, oh no, this is not respectful. They can't say this. You don't know who you're talking to. Maybe some person would think, oh, they're down with me, and the other person would say, they don't know me. And so I'm glad we're having this conversation, and I'm hoping that it is being taken back to the police officers, whether they're black or white. It's a matter of respect when they stop you that will make you more at ease, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think two things I'm hearing are, first, it's just really challenging to look at this aspect of policing because so much of it matters on where people are coming from, what their own experiences have been, and how they interpret how officers are communicating. But at the same time, it's a part of these stops that might not go appreciate, but really matters for how people leave that interaction feeling.
Are there any questions or comments for Professor Camp from the audience? Yes.
I'm just curious. This study's pretty good, but I'm just curious if there's a lot of research being done about how people with disabilities are treated because they go across the, every race has people with disabilities, and I've had not bad experiences, but just some weird experiences with police because they didn't know how to exactly treat my disability. I'm totally visually impaired, or my daughter is hearing impaired, and that's the kind of thing that our commission would be interested in seeing, is some research as to how we're addressed, people with disabilities.
Yeah, so, I think once you start to think of, so one of the hopes when body cameras were first introduced was that if you were to just look at the video, it would just tell you what happened in police encounters. And it turns out that in practice, because of where the cameras are located, oftentimes you don't really see that much on the footage itself. And it also turns out that people can see the same footage and come to very different conclusions about the propriety of an officer's behavior. But what I think that discussion, while it's really important, what it leaves out is you can also learn a lot about interactions that don't escalate, or you can learn about trends that occur across interactions. So in the research that I presented, a lot of that was either looking at racial disparities in officer communication or looking at change over time. But once you start thinking of that footage as data as to what's going on in those conversations, you can think about many different ways you could use that information, ranging from, looking, beginning versus end of shift, for example, or after officers respond to a very traumatic or emotionally charged situation, whether they interact differently during their routine interactions after that, or you could think about even just kind of training in terms of thinking about what are some things that are working or not working in interactions.
Yes, go ahead.
I don't know where to
Here.
where to look because of all the
Is there more
cameras and
than
mics
one?
and stuff, but yeah.
Hi, my name's Robin. I'm with Larry on the Commission for Disability Issues. I'm also a registered nurse, and we go through implicit bias training. You might have heard that term, where it's about recognizing bias that you may not even realize you have. And I'm kind of wondering, do officers that you studied go through implicit bias training, and whether officers here in Arbor go through that to recognize ways that they may have bias that they might not even realize and find better ways of dealing with things like that you saw. I'm sure you saw a spectrum of different behaviors to help them learn and correct that. And my other question is, since we are help with identify those with disabilities and ways we can help them, is there anything that officers do or can do to, maybe if they find someone who has a disability who needs help, because police are kind of the eyes and ears out on the streets, to find people who might be unreachable and connect them and take it beyond even having respect, but get them the help that they need, people who may have fallen through the cracks. There was a case that made the news recently, Buffalo, New York, I believe, where someone was picked up, found to be a refugee, and was dropped off in the cold. And he turned out to be someone who was blind, couldn't communicate. And he was found 3 days later deceased. And I thought how many levels that they could have been connected with the right places, that person could have been saved. And if there are ways that maybe here in Ann Arbor, I don't know if we do implicit bias training, or if there are ways the police can find to help those out who need extra help like that.
Yeah. So I can.
Sorry, that was a lot.
Oh, no. I can speak with confidence on the first point. The evidence shows us that when it comes to policing, implicit bias training doesn't have any observable effect on officer behavior. This has been done in the NYPD, and then also there's an evaluation of Anti-Defamation League training. And one of the reasons for that is that it's kind of, I hope none of my students are watching, but if you think of it's basically like a class, right? And if you think of the most influential class that you've had, how long do those learnings actually stay with you? What does seem to be more effective is our trainings that teach discrete skills. So that was something we tried to work in our training with officer communication, but also interventions that invite officers to generate different explanations for behaviors they might be seeing. So before kind of narrowing down on an interpretation of course of action, practice, even just watching videos and things what are different things that could be going on and generating that full set. As for the second point, I don't have an expert opinion on it, but I do think it's important thinking about law enforcement as being not just a point of contact in the context of enforcing laws, but for so many other reasons, right? And so it could also be a valuable point of connection for other resources as well.
Professor Camp, thank you so much for coming and speaking to us. I think you have really given us some very interesting information and that we're going to look at.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Professor, I just want to say thank you. Okay. What's next on our agenda? Public comment. So aside from questions for the professor, this is time when we have 3 minutes. You're allowed 3 minutes for public comment. If anyone present would like to comment, or maybe if we have anyone on the phone.
Currently, we have no one on the phone for public comment. Is there members of the public present who'd like to make a public comment? You can step forward to the podium at this time. Chair Keeler, go ahead. Do you want to?
Oh, is it me?
Yeah.
Okay, well, is this just this, or is this anything that's concerning us?
Hold on a
Anything that's concerning you.
Okay,
You have to come to the podium.
oh, do I have to come to the podium?
I got you.
Well, I even drop my head. I don't want hair hanging out.
Right here.
This is the chair of the Commission on Disabilities.
Microphone's right here for you, okay?
Hello, name is Larry Keeler. I'm Chair of Commission on Disability Issues, and my two real quick things are, one, we're having a lot of trouble with people with disabilities trying to cross at intersections because some of the buses on 5th and William are parking right next to the intersection, way too close. Instead of 20 feet away, they're like 5 feet away, and we can't hear and can't monitor the traffic quite as well. And the second issue I have is we've got a lot of people with bicycles, and that's a good thing. Bicycles are a good thing, but I'd like to stop buying canes on every so often because they keep running over my canes and yelling at me when I've got safety stuff on, and they're coming right at me. They think they own the place, and since we're putting out more bike lanes, I'm hoping that a lot of these bicyclists and the scooters stay in the bike lanes. I'm wondering if there's any law or any way to control or enforce that kind of thing, because they're also riding. I get reports from drivers at night that they're riding with no colors on, no reflectors or anything. So you may see just black on a bike coming at you. And that's all. That's my concern, is how we're going to regulate the pedestrian traffic with bicyclists on the sidewalks. Thank you.
Thank you. And I don't know if there's something that we can. Oh. Councilwoman Harrison, just wondering, is that something that maybe we can, I don't know, how do we, and I know it's not exactly
It seems like
police.
it's outside of the purview of this
It is.
body, but
is.
it certainly might be something that the city council should take.
I can look into it, yeah.
Good. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay. Do you have a comment?
Oh, yes.
Come right to the podium.
All right.
They can hear good enough without it.
Right. I guess I wanted to kind of continue on that. That's just something that was on my mind. Just hearing cases and of those who might get left behind or falling through the cracks. That's part of what we want to do, is find people who need help, who might be unreachable. Like on our commission for disability issues, we will often meet via Zoom, but there are people who might have disabilities, or like that man that I mentioned earlier, I guess he was using a shower curtain rod for a cane, and I thought how many ways that person could have been helped. The NFB, National Federation for the Blind, gives canes out to those in need. And if you being the eyes and ears out on the streets, if there's any people you find who are in need, just feel free if there's a way for us to be closer and help each other out. I just wanted to put that out there and have that as a discussion with you all, because I think you're all a great resource to help people who need that extra help in this kind of city we are here. So I wanted to just mention that.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, we appreciate that input, and we appreciate the representatives from the Council on Disabilities, Commission on Disabilities, to have joined us this evening. Thank you so much. Okay. Report from the chair. It's good to be back with you all, and I want to again thank Vice Chair Hoffman for standing in for me when I was unable to be here. What I really want to do, I want us to look at this annual report, because we're getting to the middle of 2026 and we haven't done a report for 2027, for 2025. But before I get there, a couple of things. Our May meeting, as I understand it, hopefully it's still a go, we're going to have it at another venue, which we're looking at Commissioner Green to have it at his church. And that's our May meeting. Now, Article 6 of our bylaws say, the election of officers shall be held no later than the month before the officer's term expires, which would be April. So we need to please be thinking about, I certainly am going to nominate Vice Chair Hoffman to take the position of chair for the next year. But we are going to need a vice chair to help him out. So please give some thought to that, and we're going to put this on the agenda for next month's meeting for April. We had said May, but we're going to do it in April. Okay? And then to take office in May, but we'll have the election before. Okay, so please start thinking about that. Also, we have an interview coming up from a new applicant for the commission. We're happy to see that. We are going to be down a couple of commissioners. I'm leaving, Commissioner Pipkins. So please encourage friends and neighbors, and if anyone there is watching and would like to serve on our commission, please apply. Please apply. The other thing, while I was out, we are looking at, the department is looking at a new system for their documents. And Commissioner Hoffman took the lead in responding to what's going on. Would you give a short report about what's going on with the new system?
Yes. The department or the city is trying to apply for a grant from, I think, congressional fund that they are applying to fund the record management system, new one, because the current one that's being used by the police department, which is Clemis, is an old, outdated, and it's not a flexible one, does not address all the needs of the police department. So they asked us to send a letter of support to be added to the application to get the funding. And we hope that this will be done pretty soon, and the project will be funded, and we'll see quite a quality change in the system that the police is currently using. And that would also make it easier to do any further studies like statistics on many of these like stops, etc., what type of stops where, and what time, who was involved, what was sequence of events leading to, just warning or a ticket or arrest or impounding, etc., where the current system really does not give you the flexibility of looking at all these details. So also this will increase the transparency in the recording as well as in the data. So it will be more effective, more relevant. So that was one of the things that we had done, was really in support of this, because also would make our job easier if we are asking for a particular type of data. The current system might not address that, but with the new one, that would make it really much easier to dig deep into some of these details that would probably be more relevant to the type of interactions, sometimes certain words, sometimes certain behaviors, etc. All those will be documented. And the new system also would allow an increase in time of the officers to interact with the community versus spending time on trying to log in all the details, because they can use the new system to dictate while they are doing their work, and that would also save some time in terms of giving this time to the community versus to administrative stuff while they are doing their work. So.
Thank you. And Vice Chair Hoffman had attended several of the presentations from the firms that were trying to sell the city the records management system, so he knows about that. And ICPOC did express support for the purchase of the new system. And I see Dr. Karpiak, again, has joined us. We're happy to see him, and happy to be able to report that hopefully we'll have a lot of records, different kinds of records, soon. Okay. Also, just one other little thing. The Ann Arbor News reported a couple of days ago that the city has undertaken a project to, they voted to explore a crisis response, where rather than in responding with armed police officers, they would send out a social worker from the city. So that was just a couple of days ago. So I'm going to just ask Councilperson Harrison to maybe fill us in on that. We supported the unarmed response. So we are certainly looking to support this as well.
I was actually just trying to pull it up. So this resolution really is, so in December, the city, there was a working session for City Council where the city presented to us their ideas for response, both unarmed response and co-response. And they've named it Sprout, so there would be a Sprout and then there would be a co-Sprout.
So let me enter. So SPROUT, I wrote that down, stands for Supportive Resources and Outreach Teams.
Does it?
That's what the paper said. That's what the paper said. Okay. Sorry.
All right. They presented it to us. It was staff presenting it to us. So basically, really what the resolution calls for is we directed the city administrator to partake in discussions with Washtenaw County Community Mental Health, since they have a co-response program, since they have co-response, and the pilot, I believe, was in 2022. So they are doing it, and, I've sponsored the resolution, and I would like for the city to sit down with Washtenaw County Community Mental Health and talk about how they could potentially collaborate with the county for the co-response that the city is planning. So,
This is very early stages.
yes, I asked for them to sit down and have some discussions. And we directed the city administrator to basically return to council in 90 days with his findings from, what happened with those discussions regarding a potential collaboration. So that's what the resolution called for.
Okay.
That's what you read about.
Okay, so we're early on. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, one other small thing before we dive into this annual report. Everybody has one of these little red cards in front of you, and this is what, you have one? Yeah, this is what people can use to respond if they are approached by ICE. So it's available in different languages. So if you know any people or have any constituents who are interested in carrying one of these around, and they can just read, what it says, because that's the legality of a response to ICE if they are approached.
On the white side is the rights for the community member to know. On the red side is the instructions for the agent, so that they know.
Okay.
And if you all have any questions about the cards or are looking to obtain some of these cards, you can contact Jonathan Lay in Supportive Connections.
Okay, thank you. All right, I think everybody has a copy of the draft.
Yes, a copy of the annual report is included in everyone's agenda packet, if you didn't bring a copy with you.
So hopefully you got a chance to read it. I'm going to start in that first page of this working document. I propose to keep the background, mission, mandate, et cetera, without changes from the last two, because that hasn't changed.
Point of information, Vice Chair Othman has his feedback underneath his agenda packet that he can share with commissioners on his notes for the annual report. If you pass it this way, I can pass it down to everybody. That's for you.
What are we doing?
Take one, pass it down.
Okay.
One, pass it down. This one. And those are Commissioner Othman's.
Okay. So, any comment on keeping that the same this year for 2025? The mission, the background, the mission, the mandate. Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the next page. You got a copy of the report from the commissioners who went to NACO, and it was, like 3 or 4 pages long. Should we include the whole thing? Do you want me to crop it down?
Yes.
Yes, which?
Summarize it.
Summarize the NACO?
Highlights.
Okay, all right, we can do.
That's what you put in your notes.
Okay, summarize the meetings. What about some of the pictures?
Yes.
Yes, use the pictures? Okay. Good, we got that. Design, just a second. Oh, we had training with the use of, we had on the, what do you call those? Yeah. Yeah, we trained, and I have some pictures of some of the commissioners firing the little guns and things. So include that? Yes. Okay. And the training committee, do you want to write up something? Commissioner Haynes, just write up a little paragraph to go along with the pictures. Okay, thank you. Can we do this in the next week or so? Thank you, ma'am. Information managers, you're going to have I'm sorry, look at the page. Okay. So with these, we're going to make this into our graphs. And Ms. Cummins, you're going to do that? For the graphs, okay. Policy Committee, Commissioner Liu, you all had a report, right? So, is your report such that we can incorporate it in its entirety into the annual report, or? Yes?
I think Commissioner Milgram sent it to you via email a month ago.
He did, so
Okay.
that's the final report?
Yes.
Okay, good, that's in. Outreach Committee. Oh, the symposium.
We do have pictures from that.
You have pictures from that, so now, Ms. Cummings, what I'm gonna do is sort of do a draft and put pictures here? Okay, good, we're moving. Training Committee. You know,
But that's this year. We didn't do any ride-alongs last year.
that's right, that's all this year.
We didn't do any round just the VR. Thank you.
So that's really where that information about the training will go there. Okay, complaint review, we have that from the information managers. I only could think of one actual recommendation that we had for anything last year. If anybody thinks of anything else, if you thought, please let me know in the next week so I can put that in terms of the recommendation and the rationale and the current status. Okay, good. Now, I think I wanted to put wasn't it last year that Professor Karpiak talked to us about the history of policing?
Yes.
So, does anybody remember, we had a picture that went out with that announcement as well.
Like a flyer?
Mm-hmm.
I think I might have.
It was a picture on it.
Okay.
I have it, if you can't find it.
Okay.
So, okay, I'll put that under training. Can you incorporate that as well? Okay, all right, very good. Any comments or anything? We're gonna put this thing into a draft and get it over to Kimberly Mortensen, who is just so good at what she does in terms of putting it all together and getting it ready to be printed. So we do appreciate her so much. Okay. I'm informed we need a motion to approve the draft of the annual report for 2025. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Good, we're going to get this done and done. And thank you, Commissioner Hoffman, for your report on that. And that is all that I have. So next on our,
We did the annual report, we have the drafted candidate questions. Those questions are in your agenda packet. This was a discussion at last month's meeting about candidate questions and if there were any changes to these questions.
okay.
And
So,
they're in your agenda packet.
yeah, that's under old business, draft ICPA candidate questions. Did everybody get a chance to look? I looked at them, I thought they were fine. I thought they were good.
Yes.
May I suggest one addition? If we could ask the applicant to give us their understanding of the work of ICPA. The reason I'm suggesting that because it asks for, let's see. It asks for things that ICPOC should be addressing and could be doing, but if they don't have an understanding of what our mission is and what our purpose is, for me, that's putting the cart for the horse. That they should at least be able to express their understanding as to what our work is so that they know what they're kind of getting into and what our focus is. That's just my suggestion.
So how did you phrase the question?
What is your understanding of the work of ICPOC?
I would agree with Commissioner Green on that, and I think that that should be either the second or the third question.
Absolutely.
So, would you please tell us briefly about yourself, and then give us some information as to what you know about ICPOC before you tell us why you're joining?
It can be, but I think we have 11 questions. And what we can do, we can probably rephrase the second question to address that. Instead of just joining, what do you know about ICPOC and why you are joining? Does this would probably address both concerns?
No, because I'd like to know what they know about ICPOC. And they don't need to know the history and the background and all of that, but to know the essential work that we are, or the reason that we are who we are and what we are supposed to be about.
So what is your understanding of the work of ICPOC, and why are you interested in joining the commission? Is that what you're?
I still think they should be two separate questions.
I don't see a problem with having 4 questions.
No, it's okay. It's just, as I said, this is a draft, and we can change the wordings of the questions to really be more relevant to what we are asking the candidates to come to know. And if you feel that this is a question that we would add, we can add that. Absolutely, we can add that.
So you want to add that as number 3 or number 2, and then?
Number 2.
Number 2, and then renumber everything else?
Number 2, I think number 2.
Okay, and exactly how do you want it?
You said, go ahead. What is your understanding?
My suggestion is simply ask, what is your understanding of the work of ICPOC?
Okay.
And they can elaborate on that question, what they know about it, what they think about it. And then that leads into the next question. Why are you interested in joining ICPOC?
Okay. Okay, so it's been, Commissioner Haynes?
Number 4. We come from diverse communities and social identities. In your opinion, instead of the word will, and I'm open for that one, but does this impact positively or negatively the working of ICPOC?
Does, so you're suggesting does as opposed to will?
Yes.
I think that's fine.
Okay. Any other suggestions?
Number I lost it. What are the main reasons, number 5, what are the main reasons
Main issues.
issues ICPOC should address and tackle? So should after ICPOC, just reverse where they are.
Now, I have a concern about that question in general. I don't know if you can accurately talk about that without knowing I mean, if you're talking about what we should be doing and you're not even a part of the group and understand the constraints and restraints that we're working under, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's okay as a question, just to kind of feel them out, but
What if we add, what are the main issues that you think ICPOC should address? Just to, again, get an idea
To make
of
it a
what
bit more personal.
okay, that's fine, I guess.
main issues that you think. Okay, anything else? Okay, we have a proposal in front of us for a new set of questions to be put to those who are applying for the commission. And so I'm going to, as amended, what we've done, you added a number 2. What is your understanding of the work of ICPOC? The rest of the questions would be renumbered, so we wind up with 12 rather than 11. We have changed the number 4, which is now number 5, the will to does. And in number 5, which is now number 6, it will read, what are the main issues that you think ICPOC should address and tackle? With those changes, I'd like a motion, please, to adopt the new candidate questions.
I have another question.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right?
I'm looking at number 6. Improving the relationship and building trust between the community and AAPD are few of the tasks ICPOC will be working on. How can this be achieved? Do we want to ask them, how do you believe this can be achieved? That's pretty definitive. I don't know if we can say.
So again, you're proposing to add, how do you believe this can be achieved?
Yes.
Any comments on that?
Can we modify the "are few" and suggest is one of the tasks?
Yes.
'Cause "are few,"
Relationship.
That's kind of,
Improving the relationship and building trust are,
is one of the tasks ICPOC will be working on.
but it's 2. Improving the relationship and building trust between the community and AAPD are
Then it should be RA.
Oh, okay.
a few of the tasks. All right.
Or R2 of the
Are
task.
2,
Or are some of the tasks? Can you say some, are some?
are some. Commissioner Hoffman, what do you think about that?
I think just because we are naming 1, 2, some is sometimes a mass of things, but this one we are enumerating, giving it numbers. But maybe are 2 of. I would go.
Well, we
with
work on
are
several
2 of.
issues. I said, we work on several issues, that's our. that's
Right,
my only
right.
point. We don't just work on 2 issues, we work on several issues.
So some or a few?
I think some.
I like some myself, but I'm just one person.
I agree with you on the some. on
Some?
of them.
All right, so the proposal for number 6, which is now number 7, improving the relationship and building trust between the community and AAPD are some of the tasks ICPOC will be working on. How do you believe this can be achieved?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay?
Number 7.
Yes, ma'am.
How are they going to know about NACO's 13 principles?
They have them.
Okay.
They're
They
sent
will have that. Okay.
Yes. Mhm.
Should the same thought process be applied to question 8 then? In your opinion, what are the aims and goals?
Yeah, the goals are sent out. They have.
No, but add in your opinion to the front of the sentence.
Now, which number?
8.
In your opinion, at the front of it.
In your, number 8, in your opinion, what are the aims and goals? What are the aims and goals ICPOC should accomplish?
Wait a minute, that's not number 8.
It's going to be 9, but it's 8 now.
Oh,
In your opinion, what are the aims and goals ICPOC should
Work toward,
accomplish?
can we say work toward?
Rather than accomplish?
Yes,
Work toward accomplishing?
that's fine.
What kind of documentation are they going to receive? And I'm asking that because how will they know?
Ms. Cummins, what do you send out to the prospective?
They get the goals and objectives, they get the NACOL
Principals?
principles, and there's a third document, I just can't think what it is right now, but they do get 3 documents before they're interviewed.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So we are in question 8. Commissioner Green, you said,
What are the
which is 8
aims?
or 9, the current,
Yeah.
yeah.
What are the aims/goals?
Well, the change
Should-
is,
In your
in your opinion,
Yeah, in your opinion, what are the aims and goals that, or should
ICPOC should work
Work
towards
toward-
accomplishing.
accomplishing in the short term and in the near future?
Okay. All right.
Number 9,
Okay.
take the "as" out of after subcommittees. ICPOC has several subcommittees. Are these the only subcommittees, or are these actually some?
Community outreach, training, policy review, communication, data analysis, and complaint review. Yeah, I think that's part of information managers.
So if those are the committees, I think the word "as" can come out.
Take out as?
Yeah, because "as" implies that there are more than these.
Okay.
Where are you on number 9?
That was number
Number
9.
9,
The last one on the front page.
just take out the as.
And then I've got a question about number 10.
Okay?
Edward? Oh. Why not?
What's the question?
Should we add
Okay.
planning committee to the list as
For
well?
complaints review subcommittee, how can you be objective despite
She's
our biases? Well, first I have to ask you a question. Whose bias? First of all, your personal bias, the committee's bias, whose bias? And then that suggests that we are biased, although in truth we are, but
You know, we could delete despite our biases, just leave it as, how can you be objective? Just keep it simple.
Take out despite our biases?
Yeah. And in this case, we're not subjecting anybody to any preconceived.
Okay. Now, Commissioner Liu, you had a question?
Should we include the planning committee as part of the list in question 9?
As part of, I'm sorry, say that again. Which question?
Question 9, should we
Yeah.
include the planning committee?
Yes. Let's put policy, right after policy review, planning. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay.
And then, what are we doing with number 10?
With number 10,
Yes.
which is now going to be 11, we're taking out despite our biases, just taking out the wording altogether. Okay, anything else? We have a proposal for new questions, and I'd like someone to move its approval by the commission.
I so move.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? I think Ms. Cummings was making all the changes as we were going? Okay, okay. All right. Well, anyway, we read it into the record. Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. Wait a minute, we got, right, okay, no new business. Policy Committee, anything, any report?
No updates.
Okay.
Since last month.
Okay, thank you. Training Committee,
Yes, I did a ride-along a couple of weeks ago, and the officer that I rode with was Officer Conte, and he was absolutely incredible. Very personable, but very, very professional. And the first stop that we had was at Sweetwater's. And there was a woman who it was fairly obvious was having some mental issues. And the way that he addressed her and handled her, along with two other officers whose names I cannot recall right now, two women. I think one was a trainee as well. And I was very, very impressed with the care in the way each one of them approached the woman and the outcome. And there were certain things that the officers, were restricted in doing. But eventually, they had asked for an ambulance to come. And the ambulance took her to, I don't know which one of the hospitals, but we were there until they actually took her out. But I was really, I just wanted to commend all three of the officers for the way in which they handled her.
wonderful.
Yeah, so it was enlightening. And I learned the various sections of the city, but if you were to ask me right now what they were, I could not remember them or recite them, but the areas in which they patrolled. And he was in the west side, and especially a stadium area, and so we went in and out of some of the housing areas there. And the friendliness also, because he encountered some of the persons that were living in these areas, and they waved to him, he waved to them, he spoke with them. So that community involvement was really very important, and I was pleased. So I have nothing but good things to say.
Oh, that is wonderful. We like to hear good reports as well as complaints.
Yes.
And if any of the commissioners want to go for a ride-along, but they let Ms. Cummings.
I did report at the last meeting. It's not in here, but I did report on my ride-along.
Okay, good. Let Ms. Cummings know if you want to go again. What?
They're in the back, they got it.
They ready?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That was training. Outreach Committee.
Yes, so our social media pages have been active since January of this year. Instagram is new, Facebook is new, and Twitter/X is an existing account. So our accounts don't currently have verifications, which is the check mark next to your username. And the reason we would like for verification is that people know you're a real account, that you're not fraud, and you would be able to engage with other agencies and it would be an official account, and we are reliable. However, there are costs associated with verifications of our social media accounts, and it is in the last page of your packet. We have X, which is $8 a month. Instagram and Facebook are a combined $24.99 a month to be verified. I checked with Ms. Cummings. She said we are able to do it, but we just need everybody's approval. Are you guys okay with spending $32.99 every month for
Per month.
verification?
Per month.
Yes.
Ms. Cummings, we have that in the budget?
Yeah, I think you guys would be safe, $8.
And 20,
If it gets over, I will have to make you all aware of your spending of your budget, but, don't go too crazy with the verification.
so right now, in order to, I'm not on any of this, so I don't know exactly what that means, but in order to have verification, which our committee says we need, it's going to cost us, and
$32.99. The verification is to build credibility.
to build credibility.
This is also a way for the people who follow the commission online to know that the page of the commission is real, because without the verification, people can follow pages that are scammed, and we, of course, as a commission, don't want people to follow scammed pages. So having the check mark will validate the commission's credibility when creating posts and sharing upcoming events.
Okay, so Commissioner Liu, are you making a motion to approve the $32.99 per month for verification of our social media platforms?
Yes, please.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Does everybody understand what this is? Okay. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Can I say something about the outreach?
Yes.
Because we have nothing about the symposium.
We're getting to that.
We get that?
We're getting to that,
Okay.
yeah.
I'll,
Because we have our planning committee, and it's planning and outreach is sort of the same thing in terms of working on the symposium.
Yeah.
I did the same thing.
Yes.
So we had agreed to have our second annual symposium this year. As I mentioned earlier in the meeting, it is planned for. Okay, good, thank you. The date is May 19th at 6 p.m. and at Commissioner Green's church. So, I'm sorry? Okay. I'm pretty sure that we're going to use that. The symposium is going to revolve around Chief Anderson's, he has a film about his experience at Ferguson following the death of Michael Brown. And so we're going to start sending out information about that and see if we can build interest. It's supposed to be a very good presentation. So I don't know who's chairing that?
What?
The symposium, which is going to be the outreach committee.
Well, I'm on the outreach committee, but I
You're on the planning
have not
committee.
met.
She's not on outreach, she's on
anybody.
planning.
Well, planning and outreach seems to me ought to work together on the symposium. Yes?
I think so. I think so.
Okay, so, Ms. Cummings, will you send out something to try and, let's get our planning going on that. Okay, very good, very good. Information managers report.
I think so far we have this year 8 complaints, and I believe 7 or 8 are done. two complaints. One was assigned to Commissioner Cooper, number 1. Number 6 was assigned to Commissioner Green. And
I have it.
number 8 is Chair Carter, I believe.
Is
I
that
did
the new one?
finish.
Yeah, okay,
I,
okay.
I did finish number 4 and 5. Number 2 and 3, because they did not involve APD, but I'll probably finish those ones too.
Those are finished.
They're finished? Okay. And so number 1 and number 6, I believe we can have probably set a time to have transparency meeting with APD so we can review the videos and generate the reports.
Okay. And once again, we are very appreciative of the transparency meetings where we can see the body-worn camera footage and the issues of privacy are sort of resolved because we're all there together in the same room. Okay, thank you very much. Information, City Council update, anything?
Yes, you guys kind of already, the update I was going to give was the resolution, but I have the name of it now. So the resolution we passed is the resolution directing city administrator to discuss crisis response with Washtenaw County Community Mental Health to determine whether partnership opportunities exist. And I will send you the resolution. I'll email it to you guys. That passed unanimously Monday, the 16th. So, yeah, that's what you were asking about earlier. You just like got the jump on me with asking about the article. So,
Okay.
that's the only update we have. We are working still on the resolution to require masking and identification in certain circumstances. I mean, we have to consider weather and things like that. It's for ICE, basically, and for law enforcement to wear ID, and I believe the AAPD is already wearing or working on, or already wearing, like Ann Arbor, already doing it, yes. So, yeah, that should be coming soon to City Council.
Very good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
I think last time Councilmember Liaison Ayers had sent us the resolution of the city about dealing with ICE and on city property. And I know we had some discussions prior to that about what to do. And now we have a resolution. I believe that we should make a motion to support the city council resolution about limiting ICE presence and using the buildings, facilities, city facilities over here for their functions or for their actions. And I think we should pass that and today.
Are you proposing a resolution? You want to make that in the form of a motion?
I would like to support the city council resolution regarding the limitations of ICE agents on city properties or city government property, just to be on the safe side, not every property, but the buildings, whatever belongs to the city government over here, to be off limits to ICE and agents. So,
Yeah, it's the resolution reaffirming and expanding the City of Ann Arbor's policy regarding civil immigration enforcement and mitigating erratic lawless tactics with intentional city efforts. That was what we passed. That's what you guys received from Councilmember Iyer. And what I'm talking about are actually two ordinances that we're currently working on
Right, okay.
that have yet to come.
Okay,
The-
so,
Yeah, the masking and then the identification, those are going to be by ordinance.
okay, which has not
Correct.
been
Correct.
introduced yet, or
It's
passed yet.
coming soon.
Okay, so right now,
Point of information, I'm so sorry. So are you saying that the ice on city property, that one has already, that
Yes, that's
resolution
the
has
one
already been
that
passed?
that is what Councilmember Iyer sent you all, and that's by resolution.
Okay.
And it has passed already,
Okay,
yes.
so that resolution has passed, and then the
Correct.
masking one is the ordinance?
Correct, those have not come to council yet.
Okay.
right, so we're just talking about supporting the one that has already been
Correct,
passed.
the one that was passed by the city council. Yes.
All right, so I think we should put the full name then. So there's been a motion for ICPOC to support the,
It's the resolution reaffirming and expanding the City of Ann Arbor's policy regarding civil immigration enforcement and mitigating erratic, lawless tactics with intentional city efforts.
I support.
thank you, and we have support. Any discussion?
Is there a second?
Did we get a second? Somebody said support.
You second.
Yeah. Okay. All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion passes. Resolution is adopted. Are there any communications, Ms. Cummings? Okay. We are at the end of our meeting. I just want to end to quote that famous poet, "Got to find a way to find some love in here today." Ooh, what's going on? What's going on? So I just pray everyone's strength and resilience as we move through the next month. And if there's nothing further, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Any discussion? The meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay.